President Biden making the case for bold action to tackle climate change on the world stage, addressing world leaders at a UN climate change summit.
We know that none of us can escape the worst that's yet to come if we fail to seize this moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, within the growing catastrophe, I believe there's an incredible opportunity, not just for the United States, but for all of us. We're standing at an inflection point in world history. We have the ability to invest in ourselves and build an equitable, clean energy future, and in the process, create millions of good-paying jobs and opportunities around the world.
The president trying to convince allies that the United States is leading the way on climate change, laying out the long-term strategy to achieve net zero emissions in the U.S. by 2050. White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks is in Scotland with the latest from the summit. So, MaryAlice, the president calling for global cooperation, drawing a connection between climate change and what he called the borderless threat of COVID-19. What stood out to you from the message to the world?
Yeah, Carrie, he said that the eyes of history are on these global leaders. Like you heard him there, he said this is an inflection moment, a decisive point where future generations will look back and remember whether the global leaders here today took the steps needed to avoid catastrophic global warming or whether they did not. I found it very interesting, Kira, that President Biden made a point of apologizing on the global stage for the actions of President Trump. He said that he was sorry that President Trump withdrew the United States from the Paris Climate Accord. It was also very interesting that he said those countries that are the worst emitters, that have the worst reputation of deforestation, should play a proportionate, outsized role in fixing the problem. I think that those kind of statements will likely garner him a lot of goodwill here among these other countries, because a lot of these countries look to the United States and know that the United States is such a big emitter per capita. And it was his way of saying, we acknowledge that and we are going to try to do better.
So Greta Thunberg led a student protest at the summit there today. What are activists saying about this conference, and what was it that she said in particular that struck you?
Yeah, the activists here have said that the world is out of time. And it's interesting how they are quick to quote the scientific community, which, as we know, has just been unambiguous in the last few years. The recent report from the UN said that the global community has basically a small reserve left of carbon emissions that it can put out into the universe, specifically 500 gigatons left. That's the equivalent of about 10 years of global emissions every year. So basically, if the world were to keep emitting greenhouse gases every year for the next 10 years at this current rate, we would use up all the carbon that scientists say we have left to use in order to tip the world over into that really sort of scary scenario where the globe would be heating up more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the climate youth activists here, they know all these numbers. They know them off the tip of their tongue. They are looking to these leaders to make very specific science-based action plans that speed up their work. They're saying that these long-term commitments to get to a net neutral, zero emissions economy by the middle of this century are just too long. They're too slow. They are asking the global leaders to speed up their plans to start making big reductions this year, next year, in the next few years, because they're worried that we're just out of time.
Well, there's a lot of people saying we're out of time back here in the States, too, when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, and Democrats still trying to work toward an agreement on the president's economic agenda. Let's just lay out some facts here and have a discussion. We've got this new ABC News and Ipsos poll, okay, that's showing nearly 70% of Americans know just some or little to nothing about the two bills that Democrats are trying to pass. No surprise, right? It's complicated. One is the bipartisan infrastructure package, which allocates $1.2 trillion to revamp up the nation's roads, bridges, railways, electrical grids, broadband internet connectivity. And then you've got the other, and that's the Democrats' Build Back Better Act. And this would invest $1.75 trillion in universal pre-K, child and elder care, and an expansion of Medicaid, incentives for clean energy, affordable housing, free school lunches, and so much more. I know I don't have to lay that all out for you, but I'm trying to keep everybody here with us so they understand the difference between the two, MaryAlice. So President Biden was hoping, right, to have these bills passed by now so he could head to the summit where you are with something to show for his promises on climate change. So here's the question. Where do those bills stand? And when could we see a vote? And are you getting any reaction from there, by chance, probably not, from Team Biden?
Yeah, well, the White House is talking about these bills like they're a done deal. We've heard President Biden on the world stage here today talk about how the United States is making a historic investment in fighting climate change. He's referring to the numbers in that bill. But the reality is, like you said, they're just not done. And so he is sort of talking about them like they're wrapped up with a bow, and it's just not the case. But a few things stick out to me. One is the fact that we're watching some of this unfold in real time. In the last hour, we've seen Senator Joe Manchin really blasting House progressives for tying up that bipartisan infrastructure bill in the House. And we've heard House progressives respond and say they still want to get both these done at the same time. You know, President Biden has said that he was hoping they would vote on this in the next few days. He was projecting that they would be able to get this really over the finish line this week. But as I'm watching these lawmakers come before the cameras today, I got to tell you, Kara, I am not sure what those timelines realistically are.
Yeah, I know. That's really the bottom line. Well, here's what's realistic. You are in Edinburgh, Scotland, which is a beautiful place. Not a bad assignment there. Look forward to talking to you more, MaryAlice.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.